All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this month's coaching session where we're going to go
I don't
over
know why the
the
sound is not coming
panel
through.
process. Oh, there we go. Okay. We're going to go over the panel process today. Introductions. Hi, I'm Amber Westbrook with the grants team, grants coordinator. Today we also have with us Kathy Lee, our grants manager, who will be presenting on the panel process today. And we would like to introduce, finally, to our monthly coaching session, our new team member, Krista Grenza. So Krista, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, I'm Krista. I am the new assistant grants coordinator with the grants team. Super excited to be here, working with the Arts Commission, and I'm looking forward to working with everybody.
Awesome. And we are so grateful to have you. Thank you so much, Krista. And without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Kathy Lee. So let me go ahead and.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Thanks for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about the grant panels and just go over kind of a overview of how the Arts Commission, the South Carolina Arts Commission, does panels, how our panelists are selected, and just kind of hopefully work on give you a little insight into what happens behind the scenes once you submit an application. Hang on, I need to give me 1 second here. Okay. So the first, once you've submitted your application, we receive it. We in the grants team review it and make sure that everything is in good order and that you're actually eligible for this for the category that you've applied for, and we prepare it and get it sent off to panelists. So that when we are selecting panelists, we have a broad array of criteria that we use to determine applicants. Some of it is their professional status in the arts community and arts field, but it's also based on the grant program and their background in that program. It's the types of projects. If it's a project related grant, it would be the types of projects that are in the applicant pool and who might have expertise in those areas of the projects. We also like to make sure that we have a representation of the different disciplines. And so when we're talking about disciplines, we're talking about dance and theater and music and visual arts and crafts and things like that. We also look at the geographic representation of the applicant pool, as well as making sure that we have a geographic representation across the state in the panelist selection. We look at organization size when we're looking at like operating support, and making sure that we have a broad range from small budget organizations to very large organizations, so that there's a representation and understanding of how the different budget size or sizes of organizations work. And of course, we always are looking at the ethnic diversity and making sure that we have that diversity as well on our panel. So we try very, very hard to make sure that there is a very diverse representation in many different areas when we're selecting panelists. So the applications are actually rated based on the review criteria that's in the guidelines. That's all available to you when you are preparing your application. And we highly recommend that you review that criteria and that you keep that in mind as you prepare your application, so that you can do the best, rate the best that you can rate on your application. So Amber, do we want to look at you've got it up now. Good. So you can see on our website in the after you apply area, that there's the review process and criteria. So that'll explain that review process. And it will show, Amber has brought up our operating support or general operating support guidelines, the review criteria for that. So for this, you'll see that there's 3 different areas that you're rated on, and we generally align the review criteria with the application itself. So you would be able to see all of the pieces in the application that would align with the organization health. And these, you'll see that this is 30%. So you'll see the percentage that each of the criteria hold in the rating. And then you'll see in this particular instance, the actual criteria that would get you a high score in your application. And so that's really the review criteria. Each one of our grant guidelines has the review criteria in them. So we highly recommend that you look at that review criteria as part of your review of the guidelines before you start applying. So here is project support, and you'll see for this the criteria for that. So there's actually 3 again areas that have a rating, and then there's actually the professional development review criteria as well in there. So that looking at that review criteria in advance and starting your application and building your application will help you build a better application and hopefully do better in the review of by the panelists. So we have 2 kind of types of review panels that we use. We have an internal and an external panel, and the internal is generally Arts Commission staff. Examples of these are Arts Project Support is a group of Arts Commission staff that review the artist and the organization applications and then rate them. And then you are awarded based on that average that you receive across the panelists, that's generally pretty much how all of our panels work, that it's an average across the ratings that determines your award amount. So arts teacher support is another one that is in this category, accessibility, emerging artists, and subgranting. So those are all internal at this time. Does not mean that they will continually stay internal. There may be an external panelist brought into the pool. So we have opportunities to kind of open that up. The external panels means that we've brought in people outside of the Arts Commission, and generally external is the full panel is made up of external reviewers. And there can be like a combination, like I just mentioned, that we might do where we have staff reviewers as well as external staff reviewers on those panels. Examples of external review panels are like operating support, folk like traditional arts and apprenticeships. We use external reviewers. The fellowship is completely external, and a lot of times fellowship is more out of state and not necessarily made up of state panelists, people that live in the state. Arts education projects and education district arts are also examples of external panels. I will mention the one combination program that we kind of have a combination on is the Artist Ventures Initiative. And that is because that is a two-stage process. So you submit an intent to apply letter, and that via the portal electronically, and that part of the process is an internal panel, and then you go to full application, which then goes to an external panel. So that's an example of a program where it's an internal and external panels, two types of panels within the program, and not necessarily a combination of the external and internal panelists.
We do have a question, Kathy, regarding
Yeah.
the arts project support grant,
Mhm.
whether that is done internally, externally, or a mix.
Arts project support right now is internal, and it is a combination of staff members, program directors, and grants team staff, and it's a combination internally right now. Okay. So that's the types of reviewers that we would have on panel. We have a couple of different types of panels now. We have the online evaluations where the panelist ratings are all gathered online. There's not a panelist discussion, and comments are available to the applicant upon request after the decisions have been made. Arts project support, since we had a question about arts project support, is all done online. There's not a discussion among panelists, and your comments would be available to you upon request after the decision was made. We also have the open panel meeting via Zoom, or panel meeting via Zoom. And this is where the panelists will rate your application online, read it ahead of time, but we will convene the panelists via Zoom to discuss the application, and the panelists have an opportunity to rate at that time or to adjust their rate if they've rated it in advance, based on the discussion of the application among the panelists. If it's an open panel meeting, then the applicants will be able to attend. Right now, they have just been panel meetings via Zoom. If it is open and you can attend to hear the comments that are being made, you cannot address the panel. You're just able to attend it. Once the panel discussion has been completed and all the ratings have been finalized, then the final ratings are gathered, and once decisions have been made, the comments again are available to you upon request afterwards. So always kind of remember that your comments are available, and I would recommend, even if you're awarded, to get the comments there may be things that you learned that could improve, even though you did well, that could actually maybe help you to improve and to write an even better application the next time you either come through the Arts Commission for a grant, or if you're going to other entities to receive grants funding. So don't just ask for them because you got denied if you get denied, but ask for them too if you've done well, and find out if there's something that you might be able to do better, or find out that you did a fantastic job and just keep up doing that great work. Okay. So once the panel is all complete, final, we've got all the ratings, there is, of course, lots of activity that happens after that. So post panel, your grants team is working diligently behind the scenes to prepare award recommendations. We work with the program staff and executive team to prepare award recommendations. Those award recommendations are presented to Arts Commission Board at board meetings. This does not apply to the rolling deadlines like arts project support, accessibility, and the arts teachers standards grant categories, because those we have the pot of money gets approved and then we're able to award throughout the year without having to wait for board meetings. But many of our grant categories that are based on the fiscal year are going to go to the board with those award budget recommendations, and then the board votes on those. And once the board has voted in the June, typically our June board meeting, the notifications of award are sent out, and then we issue contracts as quickly as possible. Anything else, Amber, that
You don't have anything else to add to that because you always present on it so well, Kathy. It
well,
covers
thank you.
everything.
Do we have questions from our attendees?
I want to take this opportunity just while we're still here. And of course, as questions come up, we will still open the floor to questions. I wanted to take this time to remind everyone about our grants coaching page. Again, these are resources that you can use to communicate with us. We have opportunities for one-on-one meetings. We'll always post applicant coaching calls as they come up, and links to register for those. Again, we have them specific to artists and of course to organizations. Our monthly topic sessions, the link here to register for all those topics. And here is the one-on-one links. And those one-on-one calls are for any questions you have related to grants. Typically, we are able to assist you most with technical assistance within the portal if you're having any issues. But if you do have specific questions regarding your application content, please note that within when you do register for that session. Sometimes we are able to bring in a program director into that meeting, but mostly we have technical assistance that we can offer during that time. So we're able to kind of screen share with you in case we have to go over anything like that. Important to note for the topics that are coming up, specifically this one, we wanted to note for the new grant requirement, moving from the DUNS number that many of our organizations are familiar with that you had to register for, and we have that as a requirement in order to receive funding from us. We must have that number. Well, we are moving from the DUNS number to now a unique entity ID through sam.gov. So this particular session, we will have a separate registration link here. And we will be sending this out to all of those folks who have registered for our monthly coaching sessions so that they'll have that registration link. This one we have to do a little differently because it is just so important. Because it is a new requirement, we want to make sure we set all of our organizations up for success. Now, this is not something that our individual artists necessarily need to attend. This is very important for organizations, our government entities, and of course our schools. So more to come on that, but we will have a separate registration link, so please look out for that, and communication. But that is all I wanted to note here for today. So now we'll just go ahead, and if anyone has any more questions, now is the time. But if not, it was just wonderful to see you all. And we hope that you have a great new year. Yay, 2022. And if again you have any questions for us, please reach out to us via email at grants@arts.sc.gov, and you can call our main line, our main grants line at 803-734-8695, where you get to hear the lovely Krista.